Hello, Black Eagles. Welcome back to the Black Eagles podcast. We are coming off of another defeat in the Super League. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we went on a 6-match win streak, something we had forgotten what it felt like. And now we have been brought right back down to earth with what potentially could be a new low point to the end of the season. And as you can see, one of my co-hosts, Kartal, didn't even bother to show up today. He went on a hike instead. No, that was already planned. He unfortunately couldn't make it today. But my other co-host, Sinan Schwarding, is here. Sinan, is this a new low point for Beşiktaş, losing against 9 men of Konyaspor?
Low point. The point itself is quite low. Although, if by low point you mean like the lowest point, I think we've seen lower, I suppose, as far as how certain results or events this season made us feel. But certainly, this is a low point insofar as I think it's hard for anyone to feel too positive at the moment. In that, it was a terrible result. 2 weeks in a row, we've dropped points against sides that have been a man down or more. So that stuff is obviously going to be troubling. And I think what we tend to do is try to sort of find a silver lining on things, and I'm sure we can. Certainly yesterday, more than in the Gaziantep match, you could say we should have gotten something out of that match. At some point, people were talking about how we're cursed because we'd hit the post like 7 times or something. It might have even ended up being more than 7. It was 7 at one point in the second half. And I said, we don't need a winger. We need the Ghostbusters to rid us of the curse. But then, of course, we do need a winger too. So I didn't want my joke to get in the way of the fact that we obviously need some help in terms of chance creation. And I think that was also the story kind of yet again yesterday. All of those shots that hit the post were coming from outside of the box, or a couple of them were just like headers that you would have gone in on another day or whatever. But just one of those days. I don't
know if I agree with you on that, man. I thought last week, I think if the referee does his job, I think we win that game. And here, I don't think you can say anything about the referee. I think this referee did his job.
Very much. It's a good show by the ref.
Both red cards. Initially he missed the first red card for Meli Bosdan, but VAR came in. It was a correct red card. Right. It was a terrible tackle, and he deserved to get sent off. But I also think you need to take into account up until the moment that they are reduced to 10 men, which is after half an hour or something, we weren't in the game at all. It was all Konyaspor. I feel like from the first minute until that point, this match felt like we aren't going to get anything from this. We were nowhere. And then the mistake from Meli Bosdan happens, and you think, they're down to 10 men now. Let's hope we don't pull a Trabzonspor again, where we also went a man up. And then, of course, as you know, Trabzonspor scored on a set piece. Exact same thing
Apparently
happened.
We've dropped quite a few results in a row now, going a man up. So that's kind of concerning.
Well, I feel like...
Did you see that stat yesterday? Someone put that up. I think it's like our last 6 games where we've gone a man up, we've lost.
Yeah, I feel like it's traditionally always been an issue for Beşiktaş when the opposition is reduced to 10. I feel like we never demolish or bulldoze them. I feel like we always seem to get into a tougher match than before. And I think
we tend to play down to our opposition, right? This has been a theme for a few years.
I think this game we started terribly. We were terrible before the first red card. We were terrible after.
We were actually much worse before the card. I mean, obviously, right?
Even after,
kind of how it's supposed to go. But
Sinan, I legitimately felt like if a random person tunes into this game and you tell them one of these two teams got a red card and you don't tell them which team, and
oh right, yeah.
I genuinely think that person would have thought we were the team down to 10 men, because after they went down to 10, it was still Konyaspor who had the upper hand, and it was us on the back foot.
Yeah. No, it wasn't until we were 2 men up that we started kind of putting pressure on and getting those shots that were kind of banging off the post and whatnot. But
it was half-assed pressure, though. It was numerical advantage pressure, because you have 2 men more, and you're finding space that you wouldn't find even against 10. And then then the shots, like I said, they were coming from outside of the box. I mean, there was the kind of like insult to injury, I guess, was that this might have actually gone unnoticed, but the last chance of the game was like one of the only crosses that was pretty well placed, and it fell to Salih's head, Salih Uchan, and it was one of those scenarios where he was coming in and the ball was coming in and he got the right sort of trajectory, it seemed, and the right power on it, and somehow it just skewed to the left of the post, and it was like a perfect metaphor for the whole thing in that even when you do something that looks like it should come off, it's just not, it was one of those days, man. I don't know. I mean, against 9, we were able to overload their box a little bit, and we I think Semi had 2 headers, but they were both poor. One
of them was especially poor.
Obviously, against 9 men, you're gonna get some room, and it is almost a miracle that you managed to not get at least a point in this match. It is a miracle in the sense because you're up against 10 men since like minute 25, minute 30, I don't even know,
23 or something, I think.
So really early on you're up against 10. Then quite early in the set, with like 65 minutes or so on the clock, you're up against 9. You have 30 20 plus 25 30 minutes. Let's call it 30 minutes with extra time. You have half an hour against 9
27
men. Sorry?
Yeah, it was the 27th minute. I just double checked.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you have over half an hour, I think, against 9 men, and we don't manage to create a single clear-cut goal-scoring opportunity. They're all crosses. They're all shots from distance. They're all like there's not a single good combination. You are unable to find the free man for 30 minutes. Not a single time you're able to find a free man in 30 minutes, like a proper combination attack. It doesn't exist in this game. And then, like, I think you can't say, like, I think you have to say Konyaspor deserved that win, and we were terrible. And sure. I think this is easily top 3 worst performances of the season. Obviously you have the Maccabi Tel Aviv game. You have this one. Yeah,
that's the one that sticks.
And then you have the Adana Demirspor one. I think those 3 are probably the worst performances of the season. And I would argue this is probably the worst one. Because if you remember, against Adana Demirspor, we lost that game. But that's a game, I think, that was a true miracle that it ended. That Demirspor won that, because we still had a good amount of chances in that game.
Their keeper was like...
their keeper made a lot of good saves. We probably should have gotten at least a point from that match, which still would have been a scandal. But we should have gotten at least a point there. Against Maccabi, if we don't miss the penalty, we probably win that game. But this game, from minute 1 to the final minute, and you have a numerical advantage for the vast majority of this match, not a single moment I felt we are going to get something from this match. Definitely not a win. maybe a point if you're lucky and the ball falls in the right place or something. And really, it was that type of match where as soon as they go down to 9 man, all you need to do is score within the next 10 minutes. A normal team, would score within the next 10 minutes and then would score again because their opponents, they're not going to be able to keep closing the gaps. But for some reason, Konyaspor were able to keep closing the gaps. They were. I mean,
they definitely sat back, but that's what you're supposed to do. I mean, when you go down, not just a man, but two. No, they did everything right. I mean, the time wasting, right? You can't blame them for doing what they have to do. I would like for me, this is like a kind of endemic problem for the sport. Like the idea that, and I joked at halftime. I said we're gonna get like 4 minutes of football in these next 45, and then we're gonna have like 4 minutes of extra time somehow only. And sure enough, I mean that's almost exactly what happened. I think we got like 6 minutes of extra time, but I mean
But whose fault is that?
Slog. No, I mean it's our fault. Like you can't. Again, you can't expect them to do anything other than that. I think I just again and we talked about this last week with punishing goalkeepers more somehow or whatever it might be. But I mean, I would love it if the sport did something about time wasting in general. But that's another conversation for another place. As far as this game goes, Konya did everything that they needed to do to win. I think you're absolutely right to say they deserve to win. I don't know if I think once they were down to 9 men, you could make the argument that we. Created chances is probably not quite the word. But yeah, we put some shots on goal. We were showing a little bit more impetus. Although, again, it was, and I think as much as I think people might be prone to criticize Masuaku for all of those terrible crosses, there's something that one has to say about the fact that he's the only one brave enough to take on that situation and do something to ask for the ball. There's a lot of guys shying away from it at that stage where we're kind of need to be pressing it. And I don't understand. We're pretty good at passing the ball around and creating movement and making runs off the ball and stuff. And I don't know why it is that when we're down a goal, and it could be with 5 minutes left or it could be 45, the entire second half. It was complete desperation mode. Huck it out to Masuaku, see what he can do with it. And why? Credit to him for being brave enough to do it, but he's clearly not good enough to be doing it. I don't think we've ever seen him create a goal in those situations. So, I mean, I don't know. The lack of a plan was definitely concerning. I don't know what it is that prevents us from, stringing together a few passes and having a guy make a run off the ball and try to break the offsides line. There's got to be some impetus, some creativity. I mean, and we've talked about this time and again. Rashica being a complete non-factor in terms of chance creation. We're basically that means that brings you down to 10 men. And granted, he was sort of covering as a wing back because we were kind of doing that 3-man back line, and he could be okay as a wing back. The problem is that then we have no one up front. And he does not have the capacity to shift into that mode of being attacking because what's he going to do? Send a cross into the third row of the stands? He doesn't have it.
Yeah,
he doesn't have it.
There's a lack of responsibility being taken. There's numerous moments where I noticed Rafa was on the ball and he just passed it wide to Masuaku. And, Masuaku then... I don't think Masuaku deserves praise for taking responsibility because at the end of the day, he just does what he always does and he plays the cross merchant. I don't see how that's any different from, say, Caner Erkin in the Abdullah Avci stint. No. I mean,
I think it's almost exactly the same, and I think you can give credit to a guy like Caner for having the confidence to take on the moment and for. If everyone else is kind of averting their eyes and sort of shifting the responsibility to someone else, at least he kind of goes and takes that step up and tries to send in a cross. But just like Caner Erkin, you have Masuaku. Almost every cross is shit. So I mean, it's not much of a plan.
That's not
and I don't know what. I mean, it's stepping up. It's just not being good enough, you know.
How is it stepping up? Because he just does the only thing he knows how to do. I think what would be stepping up would be trying to find the Yeah, but I mean,
I just mean relative to the other guys who are just showing no interest, you know, who are diverting to him, who have basically kind of given him the reins to the keys to the car because they're all kind of, I don't know if they're afraid of the moment, if they're, you know, unwilling to be the one who makes the mistake, because it's Masuaku who makes the mistake every time as an end product of that mentality.
Well,
but so I just mean
it's
I mean a bad cross.
Yeah, but I mean that's also one of those things. I think what we saw in these last two matches, for example, with Masuaku, is that was Masuaku reverting to his factory default settings. You know, going back to the high cross. Because we were, for the last couple of weeks, we've been praising Masuaku, and not just Masuaku, also Rashica, I think, for playing it over the ground more and more. And we were saying that was one of the big issues during Serdar Toprak-Tepe's time, during Gio van Bronckhorst's time. And now we were playing it more over the ground, and suddenly we were scoring goals again, and we were finding opportunities. But what we've seen in these last two matches against Gaziantep and especially now against Konyaspor is just, you know, it's like somebody
reverting back.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody pushed the reset button. It went back to the factory settings, and now we see these high crosses time and time again. And we don't have any players in our team that are consistent good headers of the ball, consistent good winners of aerial duels offensively. So we don't have a Cenk Tosun anymore who was good at that. We don't have Wout Weghorst. We don't have Talisca. We don't have players from the past that we used to have that were good in the air. And I feel like that is one of our biggest issue. I mean, we've talked about this many times already, Sinan, where that's a massive issue on offensive set pieces. But also in situations like this where you kind of have to overload the opposition box, and where you have to find, where it is difficult to find chances from combinations, and you are desperate almost because, you know, all those crosses from Masuaku and stuff, that's desperation football. That's crossing and inshallah. That's just praying for the cross to find someone. That is not, that is not good play. That's not Masuaku doing a great job. That's just a sheer volume of crosses being put in. And he finds someone 2-3 times out of, 20, 30 attempts of, I don't know how many crosses he attempted. But
we could look into that.
Yeah, we should look into it. But
I think it was like over 10.
Yeah, probably. And he manages to find someone a few times. The problem is, other than Salih Uçan, who has a couple of headed goals in his career for Beşiktaş, I mean, we can't say Salih Uçan is a specialist. No. Like and
not at all. I mean, clearly not.
Ciro definitely isn't. Simi is I would say Simi is a horrible header of the ball. I know he has
he was terrible yesterday. In Cheeto's defense, I don't even think I've seen much in the way of an attempt. Like, I don't even feel like I've seen a cross find his head, which is more, again, an indictment of the people who've been crossing the ball.
He scored the one against Lugano, if you remember, but that came off but that was after the free kick from Masuaku that splattered on the crossbar. Right? And then he headed in the rebound.
I mean, look at that starting lineup. It doesn't look bad enough to warrant what happened on the pitch, right? I'm not making excuses for those players by any stretch. I don't think you're probably not willing to like fire Ole, right? My point is simply that these managers are not being given the tools that they can succeed with, as far as the players that they've been provided.
This Konyaspor side lost 3 players to suspension last week. They were missing 3 starters. Kramer, Umut Nair, and I can't think of the third one. But they were missing 3 players. We're missing 1 player, and suddenly everything goes out the window. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
it's a terrible performance. Like Ciro, finish up the lineup, Chiro, I didn't see him. Was nowhere this match.
Yeah. And for the rest of the lineup, real quick, it was Rashids on the right, Rafa Silva in the middle as a 10, Joao Felix injury.
Yeah.
Talk about injury to insult, right? Like rather than insult to injury. That really Yeah. No, that was like our one positive, right? The season is like we've got our back line, we've got our back pair for the future sort of set in place.
Yeah, and Emirhan and Felix were the pairing, I think, in every single big win this season other than the Super Cup. Now we got a big match coming up after the international break, and we don't have our ideal pairing, right?
We don't.
Oh, you know what? Maybe I think Felix might have missed the Fenerbahce derby. Didn't we play Tayyip and Emirhan against them? I think we did.
Yeah, which was No, and look, I think we're kind of it's one position we're theoretically covered in, but it's a bummer just because that's a strength that you want to be building on, and you want him to get more sort of settled into that position, right? He's sort of a leader on the pitch, and you want him to become that kind of leader among his peers. So
game anyway. Let's get these stats out of the way so we don't have to do that later.
Yeah, I was going to suggest the same. So we had 66% of the ball to their 34%, which, I mean, we had 2 extra players.
Yeah.
Of course we did. Yeah. XG 2.63. I'm surprised. I feel like all of our shots came from distance, but maybe it just accumulates.
Yeah, desperation, lots of desperation.
When you have 26 shots, I guess it accumulates. Jesus.
Yeah,
they had a 0.69 XG.
I think if it would have been 11 versus 11, they would have won this game easily anyway. They were. I feel like they were kind of kicking our ass the first 25 minutes. So,
they were. And I remember thinking maybe we're trying to like tire them out, letting them sort of press high and stuff. But we were giving them real chances. So I think that was playing a dangerous game if that's what you were doing. I mean,
once they were reduced to 10, I don't think they had. I think Mert had to make like one decent save, but they score on the set piece. It's our Achilles heel, both offensively and defensively. It's our major Achilles heel. We suck on defending set pieces, and we suck on offensive set pieces. It's just such a big issue in the team. But
it is.
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Erling Moe had eliminated that weakness defensively recently.
Seemed like it.
But this is just. I think also last week a little bit. It's just whether it's the team or players switching off. I mean, last week I think. Emirhan probably made a mistake on the first goal, I think. And then, of course, the team collectively switched off on the second. And then on this one, I feel like it's another collective switch off. It's not just Tayyip. It's like the entire team switching off on a quick free kick. And, I mean, I don't know what the coaching staff can do about that. Other than shout at these guys. But, this is stuff this shouldn't be happening. I think the problem here is a lack of leaders on the pitch. So
for sure.
There need to be extensions of the coaching staff on the pitch who are shouting at everyone to keep them focused. And I think that's not something you can put on the coaching staff. That's just something that this squad lacks, and that's on the people who built this squad, not the people in charge now.
Yeah, and which, granted, was always going to be an incomplete project. But
yeah.
Some of these holes you can't operate like this with like one striker, for example. Anyway, so we had 26 shots to their 7, only 5 on target, which
pathetic.
Is crazy.
Yeah.
They had 1 on target. We had 4 big chances.
That's pathetic too.
To their 2.
4 big chances against 9 people. 4.
I know. I mean, but I don't even remember them. Is why I made that. I presented it like that.
Yeah.
They missed 1 of their 2. We missed 4 of our 4. But what 4 big chances could they be talking about?
I don't know. I think there's the Chiro one. Probably Chiro had that one chance on the Rafa pass. Maybe the semi header.
Oh, the header on the post that Chiro put in too.
And there's another header on a corner from Semi. I think maybe, I don't know. I honestly don't know. Hard to think of. Let us know, guys, in the comments if you can think of the 4 big chances we supposedly had in this game.
Yeah, seriously. I'm curious.
Yeah.
What they've cooked up for that. Okay. We completed 400. Wow, almost 500 passes at a 90% rate. 458 to their 211.
Yeah.
At a 77% rate.
You have
they had
men
9
more,
men.
so
yeah.
it's a little easier to pass the ball around.
A lot of space, especially in the back.
Less pressure on the ball, let's say.
Yeah. They committed 6 fouls. We committed 8, which is interesting. I might as well shift over to discipline. We had 1 yellow card. They had 2. Oh, sorry, no. They had 1 yellow card. We had 2. They had 2 red cards. We had 0. And then offsides, they were offsides twice. We were offsides 3 times. We had 12 corners to their 4. Again, we had 2 extra players. So the idea that we were on their side of the pitch should not be surprising to anyone. I'll do the duels.
Look at these duels, Sinan.
Yeah, 34 to 33.
We lost the duels.
We barely won.
Yeah, but
we lost. That's right.
We lost the duels against 9 men.
9 men.
That just shows you. I mean, they just wanted it so much more.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess one bit of context we should have mentioned is that they are a side fighting against relegation, so they do have a lot to play for. But I mean, it's not like we don't. So I don't know. So yeah, they won the duels. They won the ground duels, 54 to 46. They had 20. They won 21. We won 18. They won. We won the aerial duels, which is ironic, but just barely, 15 to 13, 54% to their 46. We both completed 5 successful dribbles, which is ironic. That was 71% of their attempts, but we only completed 50% of ours, so we were 5 of 10. They were probably 5 of 8 or something like that.
But Sinan,
7.
One positive takeaway from this match: 2 yellow cards for us, but not a single one to any of the players that were a yellow away from a suspension. So Chiro, Mert, and who was the other one? I don't even remember. But none of the players that were a yellow card away from a suspension got booked. So we should be at full strength in the next match against Belgium in the derby, other than Felix Odukai, who will be out injured. So let's hope that in these next 2 weeks, Gabriel Paulista continues to build up his match fitness. Emirhan's gonna be focused. Svensson comes back, because Svensson was still out for this game. And I think that is one of the few positives we can take away from this game, is that we didn't lose anyone to a suspension. We lost an important player to an injury, but we didn't lose any players to suspension. So I think that's the only positive to take away from this game. I can't think
and
of
we're sort of theoretically covered.
Yeah.
Hey, what's the story with Necip? Is he okay now?
I mean, he should be. I don't know if he's back. I don't think he's back in team training yet. I think he's just running separately at the moment. I'm not sure.
I mean, either way, we'll be covered. We'll play Emirhan and Gabriel Paulista, I'd imagine.
Let's hope so. And let's hope that Gabriel Paulista can finish out the game and doesn't have to get substituted off again.
Stay tuned for more. We will be back, obviously, for the huge upcoming derby, which is, in fact, our next match. So stay tuned for that. Beyond that, now more than ever, it's so important that I say, let's go, Beşiktaş! Peace out, everybody! Let me get some shout-outs, folks. We've got Özkan, Zerzavati, Atilcan, Dopul, Malak, Paul, O'Connor, Nathan, not a overcoat, David, the Finnish Kebab, Tristan Cray, Michael Berry, Umer, Brunel. Not so negative anymore. I was going to say Mr. Negative after this, the Marvel bad guy, but he's found a positive streak in him. Dara, the Irishman Hente, Mario 1 and the 2 and the 3, Vargas, Niall, Tariq, Sebastian, the not sporting director, Heinat, the vigilante Turk, Nassar, Mr. Manu / Besham, and of course, the indubitable, indomitable, indefatigable, undefeated Dutch Eagle, Peace out, everybody. See you next time.